Hi folks, so the question we have in front of us here today, guys, is a question from the Rotation of Objects chapter in your Understanding Technical Graphics textbook. It's on page 235, question 1, and it says here for exercise 1, it says the figure shows the elevation and end view or end elevation of a hanging sign which can sway in the wind. Okay, it says draw the given views and then draw the plan of the sign when it has blown to a position at 45 degrees to the vertical plane as indicated by the dotted line in the end view. So essentially what they're asking us to do, okay, is we kind of have a sign here. It's obviously something like parking to the right or something like that, okay? And obviously we can see it's obviously hinged on something up here and it's hanging down. And there's our sign there with obviously the P and then the arrow, okay? And it says then that we have to draw the given views. So if we were looking straight at the sign, this is obviously the elevation view of it. If we were looking in at the side of the sign, okay, this is the end elevation or the end view of it, as they call it here, okay. And in the end view of it, we can obviously see it here, and that's the sign. We're kind of seeing it there as a line, okay, or as an edge view, as that would be known as, okay. And then basically what they're saying is which can sway in the wind. So obviously the wind is after coming from behind it and it's after blowing the sign up until it's at a 45-degree angle. And what they want us to do is draw the plan view. So we know the elevation is here, we know the plan is here, or sorry, the elevation is here, the end elevation is here, the end view as they're calling it here in this question. The plan view has to go underneath our elevation. So our plan view is going to go down here. But what we want to do is we want to draw in the plan view, okay, of the sign when it has been blown to an angle of 45 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to project all our points across here onto the end view, and then we're going to rotate them up until they're on this 45-degree line. And at that point then we're going to project them down until we get our new plan, okay? It's going to be a slightly squished version of this, okay? So we'll start that there now. So as you can see, guys, I have the elevation drawn, okay, I have the elevation drawn here, and I've actually put in the end elevation here as well. Now I know they seem quite close, okay, just for the purpose of this video I've put them close. In the question in your book there's probably a larger space in between the two of them. I've just kept a distance between the elevation and the end elevation of 10 millimeters there, okay. And as you can see as well, I've drawn in my line at 45 degrees, okay. So what I would do, okay, with the elevation drawn, the only probably part of the elevation, just figuring out here the radius of these little semicircles here, figuring out the center point there. The radius for the internal one, okay, is 15, and the radius for the external one is 25, okay. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to project our points across and we're going to find that. But before I even work on the inside of it, okay, I want to actually get the just the outline of it, okay, which is essentially a rectangle, obviously that's hinged on this kind of structure here. So that structure there is up here at the top, and what I want to do is I want to rotate that around. So with my compass point there at the top, I'm going to rotate that around. And we can see then that the sign's position is right here. That's where it's hitting there on the 45-degree line when the wind has blown it. So I'll actually just put that in heavy now, because that's the new position of our sign. From there to there. Okay, and I'll actually extend out my XY line. So put that in there. That's my XY line. Okay. And what I have to do now is I want to essentially draw in that rectangle and then get this bit here. So the points I'm actually going to need, first of all, this is one which I've projected across already. I need this top one here as well. So I'll project that across there. And I also have this one here, which is at the very, very tip top anyway. And the other one I'm going to have to rotate is this one, obviously at the very top, so I don't need to rotate, but I'm going to have to rotate this one. So rotate that one as well while I'm at it. And we've rotated it onto our 45-degree line, which is the new position of our signpost. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer those down to my plan view. So from the corner of the elevation closest to your end elevation, or end view as they're calling it in this question, I'm going to project the line at 45 degrees to transfer my widths. And what I'm going to do then is this point and this point, I'm going to transfer them straight down to that 45-degree angle. Here, normal orthographic at this stage, and at this point, because that's the new position that I want to project here, and obviously this one has to come down as well here. Okay, and three of those, this one, and this one, they're all going to project across to make our plan view. when we think back to first year and second year, I always got you to make the box shapes, okay? We worked out the overall length, height and width. Okay, in this case it's obviously just kind of a two-dimensional structure. You can see it's quite a thin structure. So from the elevation then, project down our lengths. So there we have it. And what we'll actually have, just to show you there, this kind of line at the top of it, okay, which is obviously what it's hinging on, is this point here, which comes down to here, which is across there, so I can heavy in that. And then, I'll work on these bits in a second, then obviously I have this rectangular structure that the P and the arrow are fitting inside. We can see the height of it is here, it rotates up to this point, so it comes over here and rotates up, comes down and comes across, so I can heavy in from there to there. And it's the same with the bottom, over here, down, heavy in here. So there we have it. That is what our plan view is going to fit inside. That structure right there. And then obviously we can see that it's obviously hanging off something, okay? If you think of these like two pieces of string that will be holding onto the sign. So I would have to project them down as well. And I know I'm going to need them down as far as there. And down as far as here. So heavy in those as well. There and there. So that's essentially our sign. So you can see here, this is kind of the elevation of it, and this is the plan view of it when it has been, when we're looking down on top of it here. So we're looking down in this direction there at it, okay, when it's at a 45-degree angle, and that's what we're getting down here, okay. And basically that's what we're showing, and we can see obviously compared to this one, it's like it's been squished, okay. So at this point now, what I'm actually going to focus on is the arrow. I'll start with the arrow, okay? So I'm going to label the arrow and I'm going to use letters. So I'm going to say this is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So likewise, what I'm going to do with the arrow is I'm going to project the points across to where they were originally. So here, A and G is here, E is here, B and C, and then D. So I have to project up this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, out until they hit my 45-degree angle. So we'll do them all at once, save us a bit of time rather than doing them one by one. So there's the first one. There's the second, third, fourth, and finally fifth. And if you wanted at this point, you could label, okay, so D, if I follow D across, there's D. This one, the next one down is B and C. You could label them. The next one was E. Next one was A and G. And then finally F. Okay, so at that point there, we have rotated them around. So what we're going to do now is, from where D is, project it down to my 45-degree line. Do the same with B and C. E, A and G, and then finally F. And at that point there, obviously I'm going to have to project them down, so I might as well bring my lengths across first. So for B, and then there's obviously 4 of them along this one, and finally somewhere there. And I think they're about far enough there. Okay, so we'll start with D. So I know D is here, so D comes across to there. So I found D. If we follow it around, like a map, it has to line up with it. So there's my D. Now what I want to find is, I want to find B and C. So I know C is there, and B is over here. So I'll label that as well, and you can kind of see where this is going now. Okay, so next one is E. I assume E is right here. The next one is going to be A and G. And then finally we have F. And there we have it. So I'll label them. So it went A, B, C, D, into E here, F, and then to G. Okay, so there we have it. I'll heavy that in now. That'll be my arrow. Connect up the points. So D connects to E, E connects to F, and then A to B. So there's the arrow, okay, and as you can see, if you compare it to the arrow in the actual elevation, okay, we can see it's obviously kind of more of a squished version, okay. Now what we have to do is we have to work on P. Starting off with P, okay, I'm actually going to do, we can see before the curved part, we can actually see all of this line, we can see all of this out to here, because that bit there is a straight line, this bit is a straight line, and a straight line. So I'm going to actually do that much of P before I start with anything else, okay. So likewise, I've projected this point that has already come across because that's on F, so I can use that. This line here, we can see it matches up with, just to show you, it matches up with B, so I've that one brought across. The bottom of the arc matches up with D, as we can see there. It's projected across to show. Okay, this one, so I have two more actually to bring that I'm going to need. Project across this one, and project across this one. Okay, so I'm going to have to rotate them around. Same concept. Going to go up to the top where it hinges, rotate that about, and rotate that. So I have two more to project down then to my 45 degree line to transfer across my widths. And I will project them across as well. So they're going to be somewhere along there, kind of using up here as a guide to see how far I have to go. Project that a little bit further. There we go. And it's the same as well here. So for, I can see it was along the line D and this one, so I'm going to have to project this across. That'll give me the bottom of the arcs. Okay, and then it's also in line with F. Okay, at the bottom, because I could see I was just using this as a guide. Now what I'm going to do is, having done that, I'll transfer this down the edge of P. That'll come all the way down, and also this point here come all the way down, and then as far as the lines go out straight as far as here, I'll transfer that down as well. Okay, so what I can actually do now is heavy in the portion of my P before I have to do the curved part. Okay, and heavy in this little bit here, this bit, and this bit, and that should match up. Okay, and now obviously I'm going to have a little curve in here and a larger curve in the outside. Okay, so at this point now, if we think back to our orthographic, okay, often guys, when we have a curve but it's after being moved onto a slope surface, what we're going to do is we're going to split it up into 30, 60 degrees. So I'm actually going to split up, and I'm going to start with the small one and then work out into the larger one, okay, because we're going to have to take various points. So 30 degrees this way, 30 degrees through the center downwards, 60 degrees upwards, and then finally 60 degrees downwards. Okay, so once again, I did letters here, I'm going to use numbers here. So starting up here, I'm going to call, inside here, I'm going to call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so there's 1, 2 there, 3 there, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now if we use our smarts, we've already found 1 and 7. Okay, so I'm going to pull that down a little further and zoom in. Hopefully it doesn't go to shot there. There we go. Okay, that'll just about do. Don't worry about the top because we've already the top done. Okay, so 1 and 7, if we follow 1 across, it was here, followed up, came down, across to here. So technically that's our 1 there. And obviously directly below it then is our 7. So now what we want to do is we want to find 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So for 2, you can see where it is going. At this point, projected across. Same for 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is possibly the most tedious part of the question. Okay. So using your compass, we repeat the steps that we followed previously. So that one there is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally 6. Okay, once again I could label them. So starting with the top one, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got 6, and where D is I've also got 7. Okay, so they share the same. Now at that point there, what I'm going to do, once again, repeat the process. 1 is projected down already, so I'm going to go on to 2 next, then on to 3, and so on. Okay, and same thing here. So to find 2, let's put it into there. 3, guessing about there. 4 into there. 5 will be here somewhere, and then finally 6. Okay, and having projected them across, I need to now project them down. So 2 and 6 will be here and here. Okay, so there and there. 3 and 4, or sorry, I should say 3 and 5 will be here and here, and then finally 4 will be here. So just to mark them, that'll be 2, 3, 4, right there, 5 and 6. So quickly going to sketch in that curve. So there's that first inside curve, okay, and as you can see it's actually becoming elliptical, okay. Now at this point what we actually have to do is we have to find the points on the curve that are on the outside. So we're going to repeat the exact same steps, okay, the exact same steps as we have done previously, only these points are on the outside now. So it's this point, this point, this point, this point, and this point, and obviously we already have these, okay. So if I did 7, I would label them now. I'm going to continue on. So this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, this one is 13, and then finally down to 14. So we already have technically 8 and 14, so 8 is there and 14 would have been down here. I haven't labeled inside here, I'm just keeping it neat and tidy, okay, but just for the purpose of bringing it across, okay, you could label them. So at this point now guys, it's the exact same process, so I'm just going to speed up the video there now and you'll see the process happening again. Okay. Okay folks, there we have it. That question, I'll just zoom out there a little bit, okay. That's the question completed there. As you can see, there's a little bit of work in it, okay. The starting part of it, obviously getting the overall sign is fine, the arrow is fine. and the P at the start is actually fine, but the hardest part on the P, obviously you can see here, is the curve, and the problem with that is we have an internal curve and an external curve, okay? But once you understand the method, it's actually okay to follow. It's just a case that you don't get confused. As you can see here, there's a bunch of lines in here, okay, that could confuse you, okay? Obviously guys, when you're doing this inside in an exam or something, you'll be using a 2H pencil, okay? You'll be going heavy on your finishing lines, lightly on your construction. For the sake of this, obviously I've been using pens because I just think it stands out a little bit more. So obviously you can see the red lines on my construction. Now in a real page in an exam, they will be a lot lighter, which makes this drawing a little bit neater as well, okay? Now I didn't label these points in here, but as you saw there in the video, I was kind of following the guides. So let's say for number 10, I would have followed it across to here, where it rotated up to here, followed it down, and then projected across to locate my point there. And then at the very end, I just sketched in my curve, okay? A little bit in that question there, guys. That will be coming more towards the higher level side of things, okay, where we're using 3 views, and then maybe it's tilted at an angle, okay, to help us locate it in another view. Alright, hope you found that helpful, guys. That's the question completed there. Okay.